What's happening, Steeler Nation? What's poppin', Steeler fans? How are you feeling? How are you doing? Did you watch the game like I did? Are you happy that the Steelers won? It might just be a constellation prize. I'm just being honest. But what's happening, Steeler fans? We're going to get right into this thing, man. In and out tonight, guys. My lovely, beautiful, amazing wife just made dinner. Let me tell you, she's half Puerto Rican, but she makes every type of meal. She made one of my favorite Italian meals, penne alla vodka. And I'm about to tear that thing up. So we're going to be in and out, guys. We're going to have a nice chill night tonight. Me and her. It snowed out here where I live in PA. We're going to kick back, maybe watch a movie or something. But anyway, y'all don't need to know all of that. Let's get right in and get right out, guys. Literally, this ain't going to be that long. It don't need to be. Even though this could very well be the last after play of the season. But let's jump right in. Let's say hello really quick to a few people. First and foremost, shout outs to Brent Fox, already donating. Round of applause, man. He says, salute Sim still. He says, salute Stem still Stem. Salute Sim, Steelers family and chat. Despite all our issues, we are a 10-win team. There's still a chance for the playoff appearance as well. Absolutely, man. Despite all of the issues, the ups and downs, somehow the Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the 2023 Steelers, the ones that I did not believe in after week 5 or so, have won 10 football games. Some might say some of those games were luck. Some might say some of those games were grit. Some might say it's because of the leadership of Mike Tomlin. Some might say they're only a 10-win team because of Mike Tomlin. However you want to call it, somehow they have won 10 football games and they have a chance. In fact, ESPN said a 63% chance of making the playoffs. We shall see. But anyway, just a few quick names, man. Wave Dave. Hello, Miss Susie. Our lovely Susie. Hello, Susie. Glad to see you. Happy you're here. The Master of Music. Joe Bauer. BQ412. Reggie Reg. Vista Light. Leonard Langley. What's up, father-in-law? Who else up in here? Joshua Shields. Eddie Longs. Amy Kirchman. Is it Kirchman? Hello, Miss Amy. I'm assuming. Another female listener. Hello. We take care of our ladies over here. Fellas, lay out the red carpet. My good brother Kenyon in the building. Mike Adams. Leonard Green. CT Pittman. Y Diggy in the building. Edward James Gardner in the building. Charlie Brown. And Jeremiah Yoder is in the building as well. And let's get right to it. My man, Big Dro. I ain't seen my guy, Big Dro, in a minute. Salutes to you. What's up, Big Dro? All right, let's jump right in. Like I said, I can't be too long tonight. Let's jump right in, guys. Y'all know how we do. I always talk about the first offensive series as well as the first defensive series, and then I just give you some of my key moments, key points of the game. So let's get into it. Let me pull up my notations here. First and foremost, Pittsburgh Steelers did receive the ball first. Baltimore Ravens deferred, I would assume. They kicked off to the Steelers. On first down, 2-yard gain by Naji Harris. Then there was a pass to Naji Harris, picked up 7 yards. The Steelers were faced with a 3rd and 1. The Steelers were able to pick it up. However, I didn't necessarily like us going empty set at that moment. And the reason why I say I didn't like that is because it's weather going on out there. But hey, it was aggressive. So sometimes you're not always going to agree with coaching and or play calling. And I'm not going to be a victim of the moment and be happy about it because it worked. Me personally, I didn't necessarily like empty set in that situation with all the mixed bag of precipitation falling. But hey, it worked. We were able to convert to Deontay Johnson. So I'm like, all right, I got to fall back and it is what it is. But hold on. We have a donation. Round of applause, and I believe it is from Amy. Thank you, Amy. Round of applause. Appreciate that. But yes, Steelers able to pick up the first down. Good pocket presence by Mason Rudolph, I might say, in that particular play. And I did notate here, I did not like the call. But then Warren goes for 0 yards on the next first down. We pick up 6 yards to another pass to Deontay Johnson. We're faced with the 3rd and 4. Steelers unable to convert, unable to hit Robinson. But I have to say this, Mason Rudolph almost throws an interception. It's funny, man, how sometimes you talk things up. Shout outs to Steelers Depot, Dave and Alex over there. I heard them on one of their more recent podcasts. Dave said, how many interceptable balls had Mason Rudolph thrown? How many balls did he throw that could have been intercepted? And at that point, really none. In his, 3-game stretch, or 2-game stretch at that point. Tonight, he definitely threw one on the first drive. But hey, overall, Mason Rudolph has done a good job managing the game, so I'm not going to beat him up about it. I'm just stating a fact. Just stating facts. He almost threw one away. And there you have it. Hold on, guys. Let me make sure my mic is not too loud. Where we at? Turn that down a little bit loud there. Here we go. All right, so after that, Steelers are forced to punt. Steelers were able to get off the field with the 3 and out. It was good coverage by Joey Porter, but the ball was a bit dropped by Justice Hill, so I got to give him credit. Justice Hill did hit his hands, but listen, you give Porter credit for being in position. He was in good coverage. It may have just been a good location on the ball, and I couldn't tell if Porter kind of hit it a little bit, but either way, you got to credit a drop to Justice Hill because he did not come up with the catch, but it was good coverage to make it a tough catch by Joey Porter. All right, so key moments. Nice swing pass to Jaylen Warren on that second drive. It was a very good block as well by Connor Hayward. I wonder if you guys remember that one. That was a nice little play call, nice little mix-up where they kind of looked to the left first, and then they came back with the swing. And like I said, Connor Hayward with an outstanding block. And I got to give credit to Connor Hayward because I have been critical of his blocking in previous weeks. But these last 2 games, man, at least definitely in the Seattle game, but from that play right here tonight as well, I got to give him credit for blocking. So I said here, Steelers put a nice solid drive together. That particular drive, second drive of the game, a nice compliment, mix of pass and run. Steelers finished the drive with a touchdown run with Naji Harris, and what a monster block. From Seumalo. Oh my God, do y'all remember that? What a crushing block by Seumalo. Outstanding. And I think he blocked the big boy in the middle. I can't remember his name right now. Is it Williams or Pierce? One of them. I think both of these dudes have played for the Ravens, or maybe only one of them is still there, but it was the big boy in the middle. Y'all help me out. Who was it? Y'all help me out. Let me look in the chat if y'all remember that. But what a crushing block. A crushing block on that play. We kind of cracked him backside. I love what the Steelers were doing at times when they were pulling guards and such. Got another donation. Got to interrupt myself. Round of applause to Alpha God 256. Alpha God 256. Appreciate the donation. He says, to everyone that watch highlights, did Jaylen look like he could carry the team without Naji? He says, to everyone that watch highlights. So I think he's playing off of when I say people are highlight watchers, and he's asking, does Jaylen Warren look like he could carry the team without Naji Harris? And y'all heard what I said last week. I don't want to hear no more slander about Naji needs to go. Naji sucks. No, he don't. I love that compliment of backs that we have. And that's a great question right there about Alpha God. I don't know if Jaylen Warren could carry it by himself. I love the 2-back presentation. I love that. So why would anybody just want one of those guys? Makes no sense to me. All right, so Steelers able to go up right there. 7-0, and after that as well, the Steelers defense come up with a nice 3 and out. Another 3 and out, so the Steelers get the ball back. Steelers were charged with 12 men on the field after a punt, and it was a terrible punt by Presley Harvin. And I would say you blame it on the weather, but this dude has had these moments quite often this year, so I'm not just going to say it was weather-related. Horrible punt right after the ball would have been on the 7-yard line. Y'all remember that one? It was a nice punt down to the 7. It rolled to the 7. It was 12 men on the field. We re-punt, and then it was a terrible punt by Presley Harvin. However, the Steelers were able to force a fumble 2 plays later, and they take over on downs. Shout-outs to Mark Robinson, and I literally notated this. I gave him his name back just for that play. So for that play alone, you're going to hear me say, great job, Mark Robinson, for forcing the fumble. When I talk about him any longer or going forward, even the rest of this show, he's back to number 93. But good play there. Steelers get the ball back. But then Jaylen Warren fumbles as the Steelers were approaching the Ravens territory. But then Mark Robinson, again, I'll give him another name. I'll give him his name again for another play. Mark Robinson was able to get a huge sack on following that drive, forcing the Ravens into a 2nd and 18, which essentially killed the drive. So for 2 back-to-back series, sir, you are Mark Robinson. We're done with those. Now you're back to number 93. Let's see. Naji. Remember that play when Naji runs away from the first down on that check down? And the Steelers were unable to get the first down and they were forced to punt. Y'all remember that? What's up with Naji, man? Sometimes Naji does not run north and south. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that as I get through these. I'm going to really point that out. Okay, then the Steelers give up a big run to Gus Edwards. Gets all the way down to the 24-yard line. Eric Rowe at that point goes down on that play. The Steelers give up the touchdown to Likely. This is a guy that I talked about in my before play. I was late on that, so I don't know if any of you guys saw that earlier today, but I said, man, we definitely had to watch guys like Isaiah Likely if he played. You know, nice strike to him. I don't know what Patrick Peterson and number 29 was doing on that particular play. We'll see when we get to see the all 22. But yeah, they they score. They tied up 7-7. And then yeah. Right after that, I said that Patrick Peterson seemed to be extremely late on his break. And this is one thing I wanted to point out. Right after that, on the ensuing kickoff, I think I'm saying his name correct. Godwin, is it Mbukwe? Y'all know who I'm talking about, the kick returner. What a smart play. Let me ask y'all really quick. I'm going to stop myself and come in the chat. How many of y'all knew that you could force a penalty that way? Remember how he let the ball bounce? And at first I was like, what's he doing? He's taking a long time, cover the ball up. Then he put himself out of bounds and touched the ball. And it was a penalty. Did y'all know that? I did not know that. I knew for sure that if you kick the ball out of bounds, it's a penalty. But I had no idea that you could force that yourself. You could literally go out of bounds and touch the ball. Did y'all know that? Dr. Trey88 says he's never seen it. Me either. Wave Dave says I did. I've seen it a few times. Okay. That was crazy, man. And you got to shout him out. You know, smart play right there. Smart play. Now, does Danny Smith coach that? I don't know. So I'm not going to give Danny Smith the credit. I don't know. All I know is that was a headsy play. Amy says I did. My brother told me. Shout outs to you, Amy. Shout outs to Amy's brother. Yeah, I had never seen that before. Dan Matt says, yes, plenty of players had done it before. Yeah, I had never seen it, man. So again, I'm glad that how you say his name? I'm just to say Godwin. I'm glad Godwin was smart enough to do that, man. And that, it really got the Steelers out of a pinch right there. What did I write after that? Drive started at the 35, and I wrote I didn't know that could happen. Later on, Dan Moore gives up a sack fumble right before the half, and the Steelers turn the ball over, and the score remains 7-7. Dan Moore, the only reason why I'm not going to call you in the office because I really don't have time to do it tonight, but, sir, you just got to play better. You've got to play better. I hope what the Steelers are looking to do perhaps next season is move Broderick Jones over to the left side, because again, you drafted him for that. Let's see what he has and maybe draft acquire a solidified right tackle. Because Dan Moore hasn't been the worst all season. He's had his ups and downs, but it just seems like there's moments and there's key moments where his name pops up, and you just can't continue to do that. But the Steelers unable to get anything done before the half. They had an opportunity, and they just couldn't do it. The fumbling all over the place and giving up sacks and giving up pressure. There you have it. So then the next thing that I wrote, man, TJ Watt gets a sack to force a 3rd and 16 to start the third quarter. Steelers go 3 and out. Well, they force a 3 and out. But listen to this series. Steelers offense goes 3 and out right after that. And listen to this. TJ Watt gets another sack, forces a 3 and out. And guess what? The Steelers offense goes 3 and out right after that. So we watched a series of 3 and outs by both teams. Crazy. 4 of them back to back to back to back. Later on, Mason Rudolph, using his eyes well, able to hit Deontay Johnson for a 71-yard strike. I love how they illustrated it on the broadcast. You saw the safety Williams kind of, cheat and peek inside. He creeps down. Mason Rudolph hangs in there. Perfectly placed ball. Deontay houses that thing. And I love the little trick that Deontay did with his speed. He faked the guy. He faked Yosin out by acting like he was going to cut to the right and then cut right back to the left in open field. Created that, that illusion of separation. That was smart. Because you could tell nobody was really running their full speed on that grass because it was wet out there. Smart play, gets in the end zone. Boom. That was huge. Because at that point, man, the way the offense and the game was going, I wasn't confident that the Steelers would pull it out because, they had that one offensive drive. And then after that, I just wasn't confident in it. The game had kind of stalled out, both teams. So then later on, the Steelers get a good punt return by Calvin Austin, but they do nothing with it. They go 3 and out. Y'all remember that one? Calvin Austin returns it to like the 40-some yard line. I noticed that Eric Rowe had come back into the game, even though he was injured earlier, forces a fumble on the Ravens' second play of that drive. The Steelers take over. The Steelers were unable to get a touchdown. They got in the red area, got in goal-to-goal situation, but they could not score. And I thought the play calling was, again, I understand why it's conservative there. I just don't like how we call plays that you automatically know is coming. Like, I understand running Naji straight up the middle, even if you want to do that on 1st and 2nd, no problem. But when you saw Jaylen Warren in motion, I already knew we were going to try that jet sweep to Jaylen Warren. It's almost a given. Like, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't remember during the season, have we ever faked the jet sweep to Warren? I know we've done it with other players, but it seems like anytime Warren is in motion, it's likely a handoff. And I get why you try to do that in that situation because the Ravens was packing the middle. But, sometimes these plays are too predictable. Even though the offense, got going on the ground and they did a good job managing the game, I just feel like sometimes it's a little too predictable. So I didn't necessarily like that call. But listen, at that point of the game, a field goal helps. Steelers go up 17-7 with 3 minutes and 13 seconds left on the clock. Ravens have no timeouts, and that essentially is what killed the game. We end the game with donation. Round of applause. I appreciate that from the master of music. Round of applause. Thank you. He says he wonders if Marlette circled this game. Probably did, because I think when we played him in Pittsburgh, they talked about him getting pumped up for that game. But like I said, man, Marlette is a non-factor. No disrespect to him, but he was a non-factor. He really was a non-factor a lot of times when he played with us. So I was not concerned at all about Marlette. I was surprised that Patrick Queen played. So most of the players that I expected not to play didn't play, but I was surprised that they did play Queen. I was surprised they played Stevens on the outside. Maybe they just wanted to make sure they kept an eye on George Pickens. But I was surprised that a couple of those guys played. But again, this was a game the Steelers had to win. It was winnable because of the backups. It was an ugly game, so you just didn't know how it was going to go. So I'm glad they went in there and got it done. All right, and that's plain and simple. I'm not going to be too high or too low on the win. They were supposed to go in there and get that done with their full complement of players, and they did it. And it was an ugly game. So I know some people might have beef with the offense and the points, but it was an ugly game. The weather really played a factor. But like I said, man, to end that game, we allowed the Ravens to get down and get a field goal. Huntley made a few mistakes. Great sack or great pressure by Golden at the end of the game to essentially put the game on ice, and the Ravens were left with a, onside kick attempt that they did not recover. So really quick, I'll just talk about a few of these takeaways and then I'll get up out of here, man. Listen, takeaway, ball security was a serious problem tonight, and it could have cost us, and it could have cost the Ravens, and which it did, right? Both teams struggle with ball security, but you understand why. You understand why, but Jaylen Warren has got to be able to secure the ball a little better than that, man. Even a couple of times where he didn't fumble, the ball came out. So a couple guys, I'm not just going to pick on Warren. We lost the ball quite a few times. Luckily enough, that it wasn't always a giveaway, but both teams struggle with it. Again, I say you would blame that on weather, so I'm not going to, jump on the players too bad about it, but it was definitely a significant factor in this game. The Steelers controlled the line of scrimmage early, I thought, with the run game. The Ravens kind of got hip to it as the game progressed, but I think the Steelers got off to a good start. That second drive, I think, set the tone for the game, and I thought we would continue to run the football and be able to. But like I said, the Ravens, were able to bow up a little bit, and, neither offense really could get it going. Naji Harris, I talked about it already, but I'm going to talk about it again really quick. Why is he always trying to beat somebody to the edge? And that was proof of it on that check down where all he had to do was put his shoulder down. You get the first down. Instead, you want to bounce it. Like, why does Naji think? Why does he think in his mind that he can beat people to the edge? I mean, I respect it, but dog, you got to know your strength. If I'm that size back and it's me and one guy, I know, all right, I can run this dude over. Or do your stiff arm. Why he continues to try to beat guys on the edge and bounce it to the edge, I will never understand. Again, I still like Naji Harris a lot, but that's just a critique in his game. And also, play callers, can we please stop running these tosses to Naji where you're putting him on the edge? Well, not him. Run those with Jaylen Warren. Reserve the tosses for Jaylen Warren, because Jaylen Warren is going to read it better than Naji. He can get to the edge better. He's more decisive when it's not there on those particular plays. Just my opinion. So let's get that out of the playbook. If Naji is in the backfield, let's not run these toss sweeps. All right? And I know we might not even see any more football this season. I'm just saying theoretically. What else? TJ Watt potentially setting a record where, he'd be leading sacks for 3 consecutive seasons. I think they say that's a record. And if I'm not mistaken, he got to a 19 sack mark tonight. Hendrickson was tied with him at 17. So unless Trey Hendrickson goes off, we shall see. And I'll talk about TJ in a moment. And I just wrote here, teams are starting to key on the Jaylen Warren jet sweep. And the last thing I want to talk about in terms of just players, round of applause to George Pickens, man. I really like how George Pickens has acted after the Colts game, and he was very mature today. Didn't even get a target, but you didn't see one moment where he was sulking. He's starting to mature, hopefully, and I'm going to say you got to credit Mike Tomlin for that. Because Mike Tomlin was the one who accepted the way he's behaved and said, listen, we groom these players. I will get him where he needs to be. And it looks like George Pickens, in just a matter of a month or so, has matured. So shout outs to his behavior. And I know some of y'all are going to say, why are you giving him credit for what he should do? You're right, but he wasn't doing it. So you got to give him credit to seemingly be a team player now. And let's give Kenny Pickett some of that. Hearing from the sideline reporter saying what he was doing, and he's not, doesn't appear to be sulking as well. And you got to credit guys like that, especially Kenny Pickett in his scenario. And by the way, reports have come out, for Ian Rappaport and others, that the Steelers organization have not moved on for Kenny. This is what I said. I believe they quoted Tomlin as saying he's still the starting quarterback. So again, Kenny is going to open the 2024 season, off season and all. He's going to open going into that plan as the starter. It'll be up to him whether he keeps that job or not. And it will be interesting to see if the Steelers are able to sign Mason Rudolph, who's now on a 3-game winning streak. Outside of that, man, we'll talk about Eric Rowe was injured, but he came back in the game, so it was good to see that. I was hoping to see Minkah Fitzpatrick in the game. He didn't make it back, and, man, we got to pray for T.J. Watt, man. Friendly fire. You know, it happens, guys. It's football. I hope TJ is okay, because even if the Steelers don't make the playoffs, you would just hate for it to be anything significant at this point of the season, which could affect him going into the offseason. So hopefully he's okay. You know, he did get up and walk off the field. However, you know, we've seen people with, I'm not putting this on TJ. I'm just saying, you've seen people with ACL tears walk off the field. You know, with the knee, it can be tricky because depending on which ligament it is, you know, you can still walk forward. So hopefully TJ is okay, man. It's unfortunate. It is what it is. Somebody is saying, Wade Davis saying 3rd degree MCL sprain. Okay. I don't know if they concluded that already. And hopefully it's not too bad. All right. Diane is saying it as well. Hello, Diane. Hello. Appreciate you coming through. MCL, not ACL. Okay, good. Yep. So hopefully it's not crazy, but we shall see. But outside of that, man, listen, I'll just give you my quick comments here, and then I'll spend maybe 2 minutes, a few minutes in here with the chat, because getting out of here early tonight. Listen, the Steelers won the game. I'm happy for that. I'm happy to see them, stay firm and stay resilient and get the 10 wins on the season. For you guys that was hoping they were going to tank, that completely kills their draft position. And if they sneak in the playoffs, listen, I've told you guys before, I don't have the expectations for them to go in and beat a playoff team. I don't, but, maybe it'll be fun to see them in there, and it's funny because if they lose, the only thing that's going to happen is everybody's still just going to blame Tomlin and say, oh, again, another playoff loss. But guys, y'all know as well as I do, this team ain't got no business in the playoffs with the top tier teams in the league. They don't. We're still not a good team. We've just had some good spurts with Mason Rudolph at the helm, but the team is still not great. And a lot of that has to do with injury as well. We are decimated at inside linebacker. And I wonder why Blake Martinez can't get active. What's going on with him? But we're decimated at inside linebacker. The safety position, shout outs to father-in-law Leonard. He texted me during the game saying, man, our safeties are not good. I said, yeah, but we cannot remember, we can't forget that we down 4 safeties. Minkah being the number 1 safety. However you feel about number 23 and number 31, however you feel about those guys, they down. Like, we're down the top of the depth chart at safety. It's kind of like, Trenton Thompson is a guy who would seem to be emerging in a backup role. He's down. So it's hard to say our safeties are not good when they're not out there. Do some of y'all realize that Patrick Peterson has been the safety for the Steelers these last couple games? Patrick Peterson. So when we talk about safeties not being good or so, and we looking at Patrick Peterson and Eric Rowe coming off the street, it's hard to blame that on the team. I'm just saying. They are piecing it together, literally. I don't know how they're doing it. But there you have it, man. Let's see. I'm going to spend a few minutes, and literally just a few minutes, and I'm going to be out of here. What do y'all got? The Ravens took GP out of the game on purpose. The DC said they wanted to take him out of the game. Yep, absolutely, Kenyon. They definitely reported on that they did not want him to kill him the way he's been doing the last few weeks and the way that he got the game-winning touchdown against them in Pittsburgh. Somebody says another non-Tomlin coach DB. Okay, Mark. I think you probably responding to somebody there. Jim says Miles, Jack, Rowe, and Patrick Peterson have been pretty clutch. Yeah, they've come up, man. And I told you guys last week, I like Eric Rowe, man. I don't know as do I like him as a starter? I'm not saying that, but I'm saying I like him and what he's done, and maybe you get that guy re-signed. You know, he was on the street. Maybe you get him re-signed for another 1-year deal or something like that. You know, I like what he's been able to offer. And maybe he's a guy that can come in and play as a third safety, you know, alongside Minkah and whoever is going to be the strong safety. That's still in question. Who is going to be the strong safety next year? Let's see. Big ups to Golden. Yeah, Golden has some nice moments in the game, man. Definitely that last moment. The weather was horrible. Absolutely. The weather was a significant factor in this game. The Master of Music says, in their defense, pretty much anybody could get in the playoffs this season. Really nobody is making any noise in the NFL in general. I mean, I feel what you're saying, man. But again, let me ask y'all this question. I'm going to ask you this question really quick, and then I'm going to get out of here. And we're going to revisit it on Tuesday if the Steelers actually get in. Do you guys really have the Steelers beating any opponent that they would face in the playoffs? Like, seriously. Don't answer that question from your heart. Like, be serious with it. Do you guys legitimately feel like the Steelers will win a playoff game against whoever they face? Like any of the teams in the AFC. There may be a team or two that I think they compete with. But I'm just saying, especially depending on the position, because I'm assuming, I think they say the Steelers could get to the 6th spot. So at 6 or 7, do y'all legitimately think that they win the playoff game? Like, answer with logic and not just your heart, not just your fandom. Let's see what y'all got. Queenie says no. Jordan Shield says, Sim, it depends, but realistically, no. Kev So Nice says, didn't think they would get this far. Okay. Lee Sharp says Miami. Let me tell you something. Only reason why I don't see us beating Miami is because I think that speed will show up, and that's our secondary. Again, middle of the field, stressing that middle of the field with the safeties. Ooh, that'd be tough. But again, anything's possible. Anything's possible, but nah, I can't call that one confidently saying Miami. Let me see who else y'all got. And y'all saying the Bills. Okay, y'all thinking we could beat the Bills. Okay. And again, I'm not here to disagree. I'm just wondering what you guys got. Steve says, yes, sir. Dan says, yes, I do. 1 or 2. Okay, but who? Who are we playing? Who are we playing? Who do you guys think we're going to beat? Let's see. Joshua also says maybe Miami. Dr. Trey 88 says we can beat the Browns. Possibly. Only reason why I say possibly is because both games against the Browns were very close. We won the first one. It was 13-10 in the second one. So I guess you could say we can match up with them. Whoa, Brent Fox says yes. Kansas City. Let me tell you something. Kansas City has not looked that strong. Kansas City, if you're a Chiefs fan, I don't feel like the Chiefs get out of these playoffs. I don't. They don't look as strong as they once did. Their receivers are shaky, but Patrick Mahomes can extend plays and make things happen. I don't trust that either. I don't trust the middle of the field with Travis Kelce. But I'm with y'all though. The Kansas City looks a little shaky. Who else y'all got? Somebody says, yes, they will, just like they did in 1989. Afro Thunder. Okay. I'm just asking. I want to know, like, who. Some of y'all are just giving me vague answers. Tell me who they would beat. Who do you think they could beat in the playoffs? Don't just give me vague answers. But there you go. Afro came back and says Miami and KC. Okay, so those are the two teams you're identifying. Rob Serrano says Kansas City not playing well. Yep. Jags or Bills. Okay. So y'all think we could beat either one of those teams? Okay. All right. Dan says Browns and Jags. All right. UT Local says Chiefs or Dolphins. All right. So here's the last question. Then I'm out of here. If they lose their playoff game, if they make it in, are y'all disappointed? If they lose the playoff game, if they get in and lose, are y'all overly disappointed? Are you blaming the head coach? Are you blaming the organization? Answer that question. I see a lot of no's. Okay. Okay. Okay, so a lot of us are on the same page. I haven't seen anybody say yes yet. Okay, Brett says it depends. Okay. Dark Ram says I have no expectations. Me either. Kenya says nope. I already knew that answer. Reggie Red says not really. Deb says nope, it would be expected. And let me just explain to you guys why my answer is no as well. Injuries. That's one. So we're playing with a makeshift team right now. Number two, I am not gassed by the Seahawks and Bengals game with Mason Rudolph. I'm not gassed by that, thinking that now all of a sudden we're this phenomenal offense. I'm not. Number three, our defense hasn't really been that great. They've shown up, but the Steelers can be had. We've been able to be run on in the wrong times. We've been passed on at the wrong time. So if we face any of these high-powered teams, so I would not be surprised if they got in and lost. Not at all. I'm overly surprised that they are in position right now to possibly get in. And that's just where I stand. But I'm going to get out of here, guys. That's it for tonight. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Thank you so much, man. Listen, come back on Tuesday for Terrible Towel Tuesday, where we'll have phone calls and we'll chop it up a bit more. If the Steelers are in the playoffs, we'll talk a bit about that and what we expect, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, last but not least, if you like what you saw here tonight, make sure you hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. And once you've done that, turn on those notifications so you know when videos are live and or have been uploaded. Outside of that, great night of football for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It makes you feel warm and fuzzy, I guess. They did what they had to do. They took care of their business. Now we wait. But outside of that, hope you guys enjoy the rest of the football weekend as I will. Stay healthy. God bless. Stay safe out there. And hey, let's hear it for the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight, man. Catch you guys in the next one. See you on Tuesday. Peace.